What's going on, Junkie Nation? Gorgeous Georgian Goes always deliver the big names. Today we get to talk to Raquel Pennington, coming off a title loss at UFC 307. I know that's got to sting, Rocky, when you hear it. I just rewatched the fight one more time again. I've heard you do other interviews. You've rewatched it. I zeroed in on round one because it seems like that's what needs to be discussed. And, I almost feel like your nice technique in boxing that you've learned over the years hurt you, but not purposely to lose a round. It's just that you know how to slip a punch, and she walks into punches, right? And but
Yeah.
man, I'm so confused and frustrated because like the impact of your punch would make her head rock back, you know. And when she hit
Yeah.
you, you moved with it, but it seemed like the judges or maybe even the announcers at times almost considered it even. I thought she was absorbing more impact because she walked in, so her defense isn't as good as yours, and your offense is better because it's straighter. And then that uppercut was really the punch of the round. She did throw a nice overhand right at the end, but then you threw a body kick. Man, oh man, I don't know. I just felt like if we're looking for damage, which they clarified like 3 years ago, that's a round one for Rocky Pennington.
Listen, I don't know. I'm still really frustrated with it because for me, it's like, what are you guys really looking for? And they say damaging strikes, but like you just said, I mean, you said everything right there. So it's like, okay, some of the scorecards said she outstruck me by 4 strikes, and it's like, okay, but what were her 4 strikes doing? Like, she was shadow boxing a little bit more. She wasn't landing actual punches. So that's where it becomes like really frustrating because I feel like the lines are not clear, and it just robs so many athletes of opportunities of their fight. And I mean, there's so much that's riding on the line with a lot of different things. And so being the athlete, it's super frustrating. I think that like we need to be able to distinguish exactly what's being looked for, and I mean that needs to be honored. It's just, yeah, I don't know, that night was just a really weird night. It like I've been in the going to decision multiple times, and it's just like I've never felt so confident going into a judge's decision. And so I mean, I was sitting there with Bilal, I was talking shit, and like I feel like it's one of those things that like, for one, when it comes to a championship fight, it's like you have to beat the champ to be the champ. And like she did not beat me. And the 3 people who had the best seat in the house, like the entire world, the entire media, uh, like everybody in the UFC was for me. And like then all of a sudden it's just like, oh, her. And I mean, I think it says a lot, especially when you're just as shocked that your name got called. They even had my family lined up ready to go in there. And I mean, everybody, the commentators, freaking Dana, everybody, they're just like, no, like it was really interesting. And so it definitely hurt my heart, but my head is high. It's just another bump in the journey. I'm actually excited for what the future holds. I've had some great conversations with UFC. And so, yeah, there's a lot to look forward to. I definitely don't feel like I lost that fight, so I still feel like the champ. And yeah.
Yeah, so your family was lined up. Does that imply like the UFC, was already guiding them in because they had heard something, or that part confuses me a little.
Yeah, so when you in a championship fight, whoever the winner is, they actually bring your family in.
Yeah.
And then you get to celebrate with your family, and your family gets to share that moment with you, capture all the photos and stuff. And yeah, my entire family was there. They already brought them through the little gate right there, cage side, getting ready to
Oh,
walk them up the stairs.
and we kind of felt the same thing because we thought it was 2-2 going into round 5, and you clearly won round 5. Little did we know, I guess, to use a poker term, you were drawing dead because the 2 of the judges had given her the first 3 rounds. Therefore, you winning the last 2 didn't matter as much. Um, Man, that does suck that the family was lined up and everything. And you're right. I did look at MMA decisions. 25 for Pennington, 0 for Pena, 1 draw. That's it's mind blowing.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've had some good conversations with the UFC. Does that tie into, I guess, some of the struggles that Kayla admitted to having? Peeing blood, I think she said, and we don't know how quick she can turn it around because she had been pegged as fighting the winner of this fight. So is that what you mean, or can you clarify what that means? Good conversations with UFC.
I've just had some good conversations that have definitely mended my heart. Like I said, I look forward to the future. I'm not going to say too much more than that until news starts to come out with things. But I mean, as far as Kayla, like, I mean, people don't realize, they just see us in there performing and whatnot. And for one, they forget us as people. And then for two, like, the hardest part of the sport is truly the weight cutting, especially when you've been doing it for so long. So, I mean, for her to have those struggles and stuff, like, yeah, her body's not used to coming this slow. And that was my biggest concern when Kayla was even coming to the UFC. Everybody's like, oh, how do you feel about this? I think it's great. I feel like when Holly came in, she brought in a huge hype train. And I feel like Kayla's that new era with that huge hype train. But at the same token, my question is, okay, I'm sure she can make the weight, but how is she going to perform at that weight? And then, what is it going to do to her body? And obviously she came out with some things and the struggles that she's having.
Can you fight soon, or do you need to do any healing?
I'm healthy. I have a little tiny black eye. But other than that, I'm completely healthy.
Okay. Because when I was talking earlier, you kind of had this little coy smile. I figure
my dimples get me in trouble.
There's this whole thing going on with, could Amanda Nunes even be another outlier in this whole thing? We don't know if she will come back to the sport or not. And then obviously what we discussed here with Kayla Harrison, but
I found that
you're healthy. That's good. And you're willing to run it back. You've had good conversations. Sorry, Raquel, I'm just nosy, man. But I feel bad that
digging. You got your little gold shovel out.
What's that?
I said, you're just digging. You got that gold shovel out.
I am. I'm digging because this was kind of like not really, I don't know, like that night seriously was like, whoa, what just happened here? And then when you tell me the family was lined up, and like I say, I rewatched it. I don't know. Hopefully you guys can run it back quickly if the other two, haven't sorted out whatever they need to do. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't see anything wrong with that.
No, I'd absolutely love to. I found it really interesting how she wants to talk all this smack and she's saying all the things, she's running her mouth even with Kayla and everything. And then the minute that they hand her the mic, she completely detours, avoids Kayla. And then she's turning around and basically chasing a ghost. Like, Amanda's retired. At the end of the day, like, that fight between you guys, I mean, Amanda proved her point there. So the fact that she's just like still chasing that, it's comical. I mean, you have people who are actively in the division, people that you're talking shit to, and then the second that you get the opportunity, you turn around and avoid that. I feel like it shows more of her personality.
I think that was a little surprising for everyone. What about in the fight? Did she do anything that was out of ordinary? Did she surprise you with anything that came from her game?
Yeah, she calmed her ass down. She didn't come like blitzing forward and being super aggressive. I know Bilal had a huge part in that because the entire fight he was screaming at her. There was a couple times she started to bring that momentum forward and he would scream at her to like slow down and sit back. And so, I mean, that was the only surprise.
I know George has got his shovel out. Mine's a little bit smaller, but I just want to clarify something. Obviously, it seems like you know in which direction you're going to go, and I know that you can't share that, but can you maybe just share, like, how long after all this took place did they kind of have a remedy for all this? Because I think the reason George is digging so hard is because obviously it's our job, but at the same time, we want this sport to make sense. And for us as viewers that night, we felt a little bit of an injustice happen. And you guys work way too hard for that to happen. We heard Dana White the other day talking about rankings, which, by the way, MMA Junkie's not a part of. But if the rankings have to matter, then, things like these injustice with decisions and stuff, they have to matter as well, right? And so we want to make sure that you guys get taken care of. So my question is, how long after all this did you get to a place with the UFC where you felt comfortable and happy about the direction that you're going in?
Obviously, I mean, the fight was late and then there was still the main event afterwards. And then all the stuff that they have to attend to the next day was travel home. I spent time with my family, who traveled from Florida and stuff. So we were in Salt Lake a little bit later. And then that Monday, we actually had a conversation. So everything happened fairly quick.
You know, judging for the most part, if you look at how many fights there are per card and all that, for the most part, they do get it right. But when they don't, it just sucks for whoever's involved, right? If you could speak to those judges, like what would be the first couple questions you would ask them? Because it's just so weird that after all this time, we're still kind of in the same boat of this happening over and over.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me is first and foremost, like there needs to be clarity on exactly what you're looking for. And like I said, there needs to be consistency on that. So I think that would be my first question is just like, what exactly are you guys looking for? And whenever that answer came out, it's like, okay, well, what does that truly mean? Like, what exactly does that consist of? Are the biggest things? Because I mean, I don't know. They say one thing and it doesn't seem like that's the case. You know, and I don't know. I've talked to some judges and even, I mean, I talked to different judges from different states and they're like, yeah, I don't know about that. So like, it was just kind of like, I don't know. I don't know what happened that night. Like, I don't know what initially they saw, but you know, like it's said and done. She's considered the champion right now on paper. Like I said, I don't feel like she beat me. I'm excited what the future holds and stuff. And so I'm not going to dwell on that. It is what it is. I feel like, you know, my story, like I've had a really unique career. I've been through a lot in my career. And this is just another bump in the road. I definitely feel like I will get back to the being the champion. And so as far as on paper, but yeah, I mean, what can we do?
You know, at the end of the day, you did your job. It was kind of the system that failed you, right? But moving forward, it's a difficult situation because a lot of us felt like you did all the right things. So that being said, moving forward, do you feel like anything has to change on your side at all? Does it kind of leave that feeling that you have to do things differently, or do you just feel like everything was kind of on the judges that night?
You know, I mean, I feel like with this camp, I just got comfortable in so many different directions. I definitely counted my blessings. I had a lot of fun in this camp. I truly trusted in a lot of my capabilities. And I just, you know, my mindset really changed. And so going into this fight, there's a lot of positive that came out of it, regardless of, you know, the outcome with it. And so, and then in the fight, I mean, just kind of I obviously need to step it up and just be a little bit more aggressive. I'm a powerhouse and Dana has yelled at me for years. Now I have Hunter yelling at me about my hands. And so it's just like, you know, I trusted them a little bit more, but the girl that I was in the gym, as opposed to the fight that night, like it was great, but I'm still not her. And so that's what's exciting is I get to go out there and I get to drag that side of me out. Controlling my emotions the way that I did, I've never been so calm and so present in a fight. It was phenomenal. It was a phenomenal experience. And so for me, you know, it's just about bringing that girl out there, starting a lot faster and just being 10 times more aggressive. I mean, obviously I rocked her. I rocked her with a head kick. I dropped her with the right hand and that wasn't even my full power. So now like that's almost being like a shark sensing blood for me. And so I'm kind of done with these judges. You know what I mean? Like I've been out there, I've had submission finishes and whatnot. And so now I'm excited to go out there and just show myself that I can actually knock somebody out.
Well, that was going to be my next question, kind of. So just to clarify, isolating on round one, because you said you've watched it, you know, we've rewatched it too, but what do you think you could have done better just focusing on round one? The activity and the slow start that you said a second ago, or anything else to add to that?
Always. It's for me, it's always going to be starting faster. And, you know, people are like, okay, well, how was your warm up? How was this? Everything was great. I'm actually stage fright, which is crazy how I'm in this sport. But with that being said, like every time I go out there, like I'm taking in a lot of emotions. I'm just getting started. Like round one is initially always kind of filling out the process and stuff. But that's what I'm talking about being the athlete in the gym, because in the gym, round one does not look like that for me. So now that's my biggest challenge as an athlete. It's just going out there and doing things different, pushing the pace differently. I think that's going to play for a big difference.
When do you think you'll fight again? I think 2024 is out because we're almost at the end. Does it sound like early 2025? Is that what you're hearing, or what you're thinking, or what you're wanting?
That's what I'm thinking. The beginning of the new year. It'll be nice to like I'm actually sitting outside the gym right now. I was doing a workout and watching the clock so I can come out here and do this. But I'm in the gym, I'm grinding, hitting certain personal goals for myself, just staying in the best of shape and then having myself in a place because majority of my career, I've done this completely backwards. I have like fought through the holidays, haven't been able to enjoy myself. And then I turn into like a little like fluff ball in summer. And it's like, okay, like let's do it a little different. And so now I just like, I want to stay in great shape and get in even better shape and then have that time to enjoy the holidays with my family. But yet, as soon as that phone call comes in, I'm ready to go at the beginning of the new year.
What's your poison? Mexican food?
Yeah. My mom's home cooked meals, my
Yeah.
cooked meals. Like when I go into camp, I'm pretty much a keto athlete and it's just absolutely torture. But those carbs kill me. Everybody gets fooled by my Mexi roll. And I'm like, it's my reserved energy, but my Mexi roll will be 1,000 times bigger if I eat that home cooked.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know, but Rocky's part Mexican, so I had a feeling that could be it. Because yeah, Mexican food is delicious, but it can add up quickly if you don't stay on top of it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And especially your mom and all the women in your family, their love language is to feed you. My Nana, who recently just passed in May, she like being in this sport, she would get so mad at me because that's her love language. Like she wants to take care of people and she would make all the food. And she's just like, Mia, you're starving yourself. This is absolutely ridiculous. And I'm like, no, I'm not starving myself. I'm eating the right things. And she's like, no, that's bullshit. And she's like 4'11", always pissed off at me because I couldn't ever eat. So it's super sweet. I have like voicemails that I'll go back and listen to. And she's like, hi, Mija, I'm calling you because I have a rotisserie chicken just for you. Can you come over for dinner? And so like
Nice.
my family slowly adapted to it, but yeah, they have not been fans of the dieting that goes behind this.
Is she the lady that's holding the belt in your Instagram?
Yeah.
And you said she passed away just this past May?
Yeah.
So she got to see you win the title. That's awesome.
She did, and I got to come home and like, yeah, it was, I cherish all those moments and stuff, but yeah, real life has definitely hit outside of fighting. I mean, I went into camp, we had the baby, and then that was my first camp. And so Tisha had to hold down the fort, and then that was just a weird time frame. Like I got super sick going into that title fight, and then I was sick until the end of February. Tisha ended up getting sick. Our baby ended up hospitalized. And then Tisha went into fight camp. She lost her grandma during fight camp. She fought, and then her fight turned out the way it did, losing to decision. And then about 2 weeks after her fight, my Nana ended up passing away. So it's been a crazy few months to say the least. And then summer was really weird and they offered us both the fights and stuff. And so trying to just gear up and navigate through real life while being professional athletes. It's been an interesting year to say the least.
Would you do that again, both fighting on the same card?
That's actually my idea. I love it. I mean, I met Tisha initially, obviously, because of this sport. We fought on the same card, the same card on Invicta. And then in the UFC, we fought on a couple of the same cards. And then as far as being a couple, she never wanted to. And then during COVID, she had a fight lined up. They called me last minute. And so I agreed. And she hated every second of it. And then we ended up, what was it? April of, I think 2021, I want to say. She was fighting Mackenzie, and then they called me on a 12-day notice for Aspen Ladd. And so I took that. And again, it like flustered her. And then this time around, I was like, it was just kind of one of those things where, I mean, this sport has the highest of highs and lowest of lows. And Tisha was just in a place that it was like, hey, like, what are you wanting to do? And I think she was really struggling with that. So she finally decided. I was like, do you want to fight again? Do you want to be a stay-at-home mom? Do you want to like, what do you want to use your criminology degree? Like, what are we doing here? Because I just seen a difference in her. She's just like, I don't know. So I ended up going to the gym that day and I came home and she's like, hey, I asked for a fight. And I'm like, oh, well, when would you like to return? She's like, I don't know, maybe like October. And I was like, oh, well, ask for the same card. And she did not want to do that. But for our family, it's a 2-for-1 deal. It brings a different calm in my opinion. And so Tisha was like, if I do this, I want to be like the first fight of the night. So she messaged Mick and she's like, hey, whatever. And he gives her the fight for the same night. And she's like, make me the first night of the fight, or the first fight of the night. And then I think she was what, the second or third.
Yeah.
And so it worked out. And she's like, if as long as I can get it out of the way, but I'll tell you what, like we have to do everything separate. So basically, I mean, we're both in fight camp. And our new challenge was just figuring out how to navigate. So I took the early morning sessions. Tisha would take the baby in the morning, and then my mom and my best friend really stepped up to the plate and helped out with that. We learned what it's like, you know, it takes a village to raise a baby. And so it was incredible, and they helped out. And then she would trail my training, and then I would go pick up the baby, and then we'd have our home life. And then during fight week, you know, I mean, we had separate rooms, we had separate training sessions. We kind of mimicked sports psychology wise what it would be like. So during sparring, she would spar first, and then I would go right after her. But it's a 2-for-1 deal with the family. It makes it easier on the coaches as far as like one trip, and having 2 fighters may have not made it easier having 2 female fighters. Although I have a lot different emotions than Tisha. She gets pretty emotional in camp and stuff, but overall it was good. And then of course that girl has no idea what it's like to cut weight. So we have to keep her far away when I'm doing my weight cut.
Yeah, she's got incredible genes. We were talking about your genes because we haven't talked to you or seen you at least in a while. When you came to our studio at Mandalay Bay, you haven't changed one bit. But yeah, same thing, Tisha. Wow, I mean, she told us she can put away some calories and just, you know, it just melts off. So good for her.
Everybody's like, oh man, you diet so hard. And I'm like, diet? This girl doesn't know what a vegetable is. She's like a sugar addict. Like, we had to switch spots in our bed because where I have the TV mounted, she was laying on the closest side. And so when I'm looking over at the TV, she'll sit there and she's eating Oreos, ice cream, and I can't even pay attention to what we're watching because I'm watching her eat all the sweets while I'm like dreaming of food. Like, I watch her eat and I swear I'm the one gaining the weight. Like, it's so frustrating. So yeah, it's just, I mean, that girl, she had a baby, and for the longest time she had a 6-pack while she had a baby inside of her. And it's like, okay. And then as soon as the baby was born, I mean, she bounced back within like 6 weeks, just ripped as can be, and on an even better level. And she was just like, oh, I don't feel like myself. And I'm like, you need to call like your therapist or something and like get your mind right, because your body is absolutely insane. Like, she's a hard worker, but genetics definitely play a part with her.
Yeah, and I do want to say it was unfortunate. We were talking about the rough 2024, and after her win, she was talking. The boos were coming in, but not reflecting the topic at hand, which was obviously October, the awareness of breast cancer and things like that. It kind of just sucked though, because it seemed that way. I think the fans were just reflecting, you know, maybe the ones that bet Carla or thought Carla won, and it drowned out the message she was trying to put out, and that kind of sucked. And hopefully that didn't affect her too much, because I don't think the fans were directing it towards her message, but just the timing.
You know, I feel like, you know, the people who actually paid attention listened. I feel like the message got across.
It's a great message. You're already putting your chin up high, you know, and you're already feeling good about yourself, and it sounds like good things await you, you know. And again, just I've watched it now 3 times. I watched it the Monday after, and all 3 times, I will tell you this, I always shoot people straight. It was close. And the second time I watched it, and third time, it was closer than I thought. On fight night, I thought, what? That, you know, it was an outrage. Both other times that I watched it, I thought it was close. But each time I go back to the damaging blows, and you can tell by just the way the head was getting rocked, whether it was the uppercut, whether it was the stiff jabs, you know. And I'm not saying she didn't land anything, because she landed stuff, but it didn't look like it affected you, because you know how to roll with a punch. And
rock hard head. My dad's always, I said, I also got a rock hard head. My dad's always told me that.
Misha Tate did our show about a week or 2, and she kind of broke it down, and she loved this fight, but she did mention your skills with your hands. I mean, she kind of like took a breath to properly explain just how good you are. You know, she's fought you and she's coached you, but she paid you a lot of respect, and we've known it over the years and stuff. So I just want to leave you one thing. No Love, No Glove, No Love is your softball team.
Yeah,
So I know you're obviously a fan of bowling alleys and skate rinks. Well, no, we don't need to bring that up.
absolutely. Skate City.
Yes, but what position do you play in softball? Is that just something for fun, or are you pretty athletic?
Oh, I'm super athletic. I grew up playing all the sports. I actually had softball scholarships, basketball scholarships.
Yeah.
And so my position in softball, I was a pitcher and then shortstop. But this is just something for fun. It's me and some really close friends and our cousins, and we go out and we have a great time. Last year it was so funny because it was the first time they decided to start the team, and we absolutely sucked. And it does not work for me and a couple of my cousins because we're so competitive. And then this year we killed it. We ended up in the championship. It was great. But it's funny with them because they're like, you're the most athletic one. So they just throw me everywhere they feel like throwing me. Or if somebody's sucking for the night in one position, they're like, Raquel, go over there. And so I'm just kind of everywhere. I'm hanging out. And then we just have a lot of fun with it. Our family comes out. They're our biggest cheerleaders. And then all the kids are at the park playing and stuff. And, we have a little colorful tutu for whoever decides to strike out. They got to wear it for the whole next game.
So it's fast pitch or slow pitch?
It's slow pitch. It's just co-ed slow pitch.
People strike out in slow pitch?
You would be surprised. It's great. It's great.
Okay.
Needless to say, there's a lot of shit talking, but yeah, no, we just have fun. I was on a women's competitive team for a while, and we were the state champions for 7 years in a row. But I mean, it gets pretty competitive. I ended up jamming my finger really bad with a ground ball. And it was just like, okay, like I got to kind of pick and choose what I'm out there doing, especially with my career and stuff. So,
No, that's cool. That's cool to see that. I used to play slow pitch softball for a long time when I was a pitcher. So immediately when I saw it, I go, oh, okay, she's got some skills here. Unless it's just a friendly family team, but it sounds like you guys are competitive. So no surprise there because you're competitive in MMA. Anyway, great catching up with you. And thank you for the time. And we can't wait to hear what's next for you in early 2025. Hopefully we can catch up then after the holidays.
I appreciate it. Well, it was great talking to you guys. I wish you guys all the best. And you guys enjoy your holidays. I know I'm going to enjoy mine. Finally.
All right. Talk to you soon.